Hey everyone, it's Mike coming to you again, this time from my office. And since we can't have Bible study the way we traditionally would, we thought it might be kind of cool to share a little trivia and let me video the answers to that trivia, and we'll see how you did, and you might learn something from it. Our first question was, is the Bible we have today, any version of it, a literal word-for-word translation from the Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek? And the short answer to this question is no. The King James Version and the NASB version both try to get at that. But one of the reasons why, for example, the King James is so difficult to read is for that reason. The word order operates differently in English than it does in Greek. And so it's like translating from Spanish to English. It doesn't quite work, and it sounds a little funny if you do. But think about some of the other larger scale issues that Bible scholars deal with when they're translating. For example, punctuation, paragraphs, sentence breaks, page breaks, capital letters. Ancient manuscripts of the Bible don't have those things. Hebrew and Aramaic have no capital letters, and Greek uses some, but very, very sparsely. So if you look at this picture I'm going to show you of Papyrus 66, it's a near complete Gospel of John, ancient manuscript. And if you look at this picture, you'll see what I mean. It's Greek, but there's no punctuation anywhere on the page. And that makes it something that scholars have to do. The second thing to think about is taking a meaning from an old dead language or an ancient language that we don't really use anymore and applying it to a modern language. The easiest example where we can see that is in the use of an idiom. You know what an idiom is? If I say I'm up to my neck in alligators, or if I say I need to wrap my head around that, you know what I mean. But if somebody looks at that 2,000 years from now and reads it, they are gonna say, what does he mean? He's up to his neck in alligators, or he needs to wrap his head around. How can that be literal, right? And idioms are all over the Bible. But still, there's even a more important thing, and that is in the way that people thought. For example, in Hebrew and in Greek or English or a modern language. Hebrew is a concrete language. So for them, you have to see it, touch it, taste it, right? It's concrete. They think in concrete terms. The language operates in concrete terms. Well, in English and Greek, we think in abstract terms. So for example, love or anger, those are abstract things. You can't see love, you can't see or touch anger. But in Hebrew, they visualize it in the language. So let me give you this example. In a Psalm 103, verse 8, it goes like this. Verse 8, the Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in love. We know what those things mean. But in ancient Hebrew, for example, that word anger is nose, literally nose. Because in ancient Hebrew, the concrete concept is of someone who's angry, the nostrils are flaring, and it showed anger. It was visual. They could see anger. So if we read that passage that the Lord is slow to nose, we don't know what that means. But the translators tell us what it means by saying slow to anger. Another word is the Hebrew word ayil, A-Y-I-L. That word means strong leader, but it also means mighty tree, and it also means mighty deer, stag, or ram. And so another psalm, Psalm 29, verse 9, goes like this. The voice of the Lord makes the deer to calve, or the voice of the Lord twists the oaks. Your Bible will have one of these versions. But in the concrete way of thinking for the Hebrew, the thought would be the voice of the Lord makes the strong leaders turn. And that makes a lot more sense to us, right? So then let me give you number 4 on this list of information that might be cool to you. Greek translation offers some of the same challenges. Some Greek words have multiple meanings that English doesn't have. So in John chapter 3, when Jesus meets Nicodemus and says to Nicodemus, I tell you the truth, you must be born again. That same Greek word also means born from above. And every translator has to make a decision on which word to use. English doesn't have a word to cover both meanings. So what does all this mean? I tell people all the time that what this means to me is the Bible scholars we have today are the smartest people on earth. The scholarship today is better than it's ever been in the history of our Bible. And the Bible you have is a great Bible and a good translation. The real question would be then, do we read it? Do we study it? Do we meditate on it and think about it? Do we let it affect our lives in a really cool and amazing way? Food for thought. If you have more questions, or if I stirred up some more questions in you, please share them with me, and I'll try to get you an answer as quick as I can while we go through all of these things, different and strange times. Peace.